Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
It's our literature unit for the month of August. For the next 3 days, we're going to be talking about a featured work of literature that maybe you've read before, or maybe you'd like to try reading if you haven't read it before. And today's featured work of literature is The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain.
This particular book, for those students in America, they kind of have to read it. It's one of the required reading lists. It's on the required reading list, especially if you're in high school. It's a good book, though. It's fun, and it's got kind of... it's not always correct English. We're going to be talking about the use of the word ain't, which we'll talk about, which is, it's not good English, but we use it for effect now.
Well, in looking at Huckleberry Finn, it kind of reminds me of the people I grew up with in the Midwest there. I'm from Iowa. It's the next state up from Missouri. So a lot of working class people kind of talk like that.
Oh, you'd hear a lot of ain't?
Absolutely ain't. I don't got no time. I seen you there. Maybe not in the southern accent, of course, but still mashing up the grammar quite a bit when you talk to working class people. Which is cool. It's an interesting dialect. But in any case, this is our novel for this month, Huckleberry Finn, and let's find out what this is all about. The first part of our lesson is a summary of the plot, so let's find out what that is all about right now. Please listen carefully. Huckleberry Finn, nicknamed Huck, is a teenage boy living in the rural Mississippi Valley in the 1830s. He and his friend Tom Sawyer were rewarded $6,000 each during their previous adventures. Abandoned by his father, Huck was adopted by the widow Douglas and her sister, Miss Watson. They do their best to civilize the rough, coarse Huck by improving his manners and forcing him to attend school and church. When Huck's violent alcoholic father returns and demands Huck's money, Huck fakes his own death and runs away to a nearby uninhabited island. There he finds Jim, Miss Watson's escaped black slave. Jim ran away because Miss Watson planned to sell him, which would have separated him from his wife and children. Unfortunately, everyone now assumes Jim murdered Huck. Huck and Jim float on a raft down the Mississippi River to Cairo, Illinois. There, Jim can take a riverboat to the Free States, where slavery is illegal and he can earn money to buy his family's freedom. Throughout the journey, Huck has a moral crisis. Is it the right thing to assist the kind and helpful Jim escape, or to return Jim to Miss Watson as he is legally her property? Along the way, Jim and Huck encounter many obstacles, including being separated and witnessing a long-standing dispute between two families. They also get involved with two criminals who try to cheat a family out of its inheritance. Later, it's revealed that Miss Watson has died and freed Jim in her will. Huck's father is also dead. Jim is free to reunite with his family, and Huck leaves to continue his adventures out west.
Okay, guys, as you see from the title, two big themes in the adventures of Huckleberry Finn are freedom and slavery. Racism and having slaves is horrible. There are still slaves around the world, believe it or not. So he wanted to write something about this particular group of people that he sort of looked down on. But Huckleberry Finn is a very colorful character. We use that word colorful when perhaps their actions aren't always seen as, standard. You know, he would do crazy things. He had coarse language, which just means his grammar was bad, and he'd use words that people thought were not good in polite company, as we would say. But it's one of my favorite books from Mark Twain, that is.
Right. He wrote fiction. Of course, he also wrote nonfiction with some travel books.
Yes.
And so in any case here, the main character of this book is Huckleberry Finn. Well, Huckleberry is a 4-syllable name, so it's shortened to Huck, or that's his nickname, actually, Huck. And he's a teenage boy living in the rural Mississippi Valley. in the 1830s. Rural just means in the countryside. Urban is the city. We live in an urban area here in Taipei, where as if you live in Yunlin or someplace like that, it is a very rural area. And Mississippi, of course, well, that's the river that flows from Minnesota all the way down to New Orleans. It's quite long, and it flows along the eastern border of the state of Missouri.
So, like Tom said, it was set in the rural Mississippi Valley back in the 1830s before slavery, or before the Civil War, and slavery was still ongoing or going on in that period of time, which is sad. So he was abandoned by his father. If you abandon someone, it means you leave someone behind that you perhaps have a really big responsibility for. For example, I have seen this happen. People not wanting their pets anymore, like a cat or a dog. They drive far away from their house and then they put that little animal outside and they drive away as fast as possible. They're abandoning that pet. If your car breaks down on a busy road, you might have to pull it over and, walk away. Some people never get it fixed and they abandon the vehicle. Don't do that. You can get a ticket from the police.
Yeah, if you go in the mountains, sometimes you can see abandoned cars by the wayside. And even in Taipei here, there are abandoned buildings all over the place. There's one on Xinilu that's been empty for years.
I think I know the one you're talking about.
I'm wondering why they don't take care of that, but in any case, it's probably a legal matter. But Huck was abandoned by his father. His father ran away or something, so he was on his own. So he was adopted by the widow Douglas, which means the Mrs. Douglas here, I guess, was married before, but her husband died.
Yes.
So she's a widow. And she's got a sister who is not married here, Miss Watson. So the two of them adopt young Huck. Here, the verb to adopt means you just basically bring a child into your home. It's not your blood child, but that child has probably lost their parents or something like that, or has some other kind of problem, and they become your child even though you're not blood related.
Right, and they did their best to civilize the rough, coarse Huck by improving his manners and forcing him to attend school and church. By the time they adopted him, though, he already had some really crazy bad habits. He didn't like going to school. He would, as we would say in Arizona where I grew up, he would ditch school. D-I-T-C-H just means you pretend you're going to school and then you go, somewhere else. I would typically ditch school and go get donuts with friends. I shouldn't admit that. I got straight A's, so telling you our high schools are pretty easy. So they adopted him. They tried to civilize him by teaching him a better way to talk so he wouldn't use such bad language, or here they're calling it coarse. And if you're rough, you're not very polite to others. You don't think about being, very, kind and nice. You just do what you want to do. You don't worry about others. Someone who's kind of rough would have bad language. When they get on a bus, they'd never stand up for the elderly people. And they probably don't care too much about the way they're dressed either. They might be kind of dirty. Their pants or shirts are a mess, things like that. You can be described as being rough if you just aren't, kind of civilized, which just means you have good manners, you know the proper way to talk to people, things like that. I think we all know, rough characters that we've come across in our lives.
Yep, and that's similar to the word coarse.
Yeah.
Coarse means it's kind of lumpy with big pieces of something, and the opposite of coarse is fine, where things are chopped down to really small sizes. Fine sand, whereas coarse gravel at the side of the road or something like that. So they want to civilize him. He's a savage, he's a beast, he's rough, he's coarse, he swears a lot, he's impolite, and they want to improve his manners and force him to attend school and church, to go to school and to go to church.
Two things he really hates, right? Yeah.
Sounds like he would hate that kind of stuff.
He has to sit still. This guy likes to be outdoors all the time, playing around. He's a fun character. I really liked Huck.
Yeah, it sounds pretty cool. And when Huck's violent alcoholic father returns and demands Huck's money, Huck fakes his own death and runs away to a nearby uninhabited island. The Mississippi River is quite big, so there are islands in the river there. This one doesn't have anybody living on it, so he goes there, I guess, to live by himself because he ran away from home because he didn't want to give his alcoholic father the money. So he faked his own death. He made other people believe that he had died when he actually didn't. And if you're an alcoholic, that means you drink beer and wine and vodka all the time, causing trouble.
Yeah, I can see why he wouldn't want to give his dad the money that he worked really hard for. He would pick up jobs outside if someone needed a fence painted or maybe some help with their lawn. He would do those jobs and save the money. And I think that Miss Watson and the widow Douglas, who adopted him, would give him some spending money. He'd probably do little chores around the house. So we're going to find out what happens to Huck after he takes off. At this point, he's still, he's a teenager, but he is brave enough and smart enough. Even though it's not book smart, he's street smart, and he's going to kind of find another way of life. We're going to find out what happens, but right now, guys, it's time to take a break and listen to our Chinese teacher.
Hi everyone, my name is Jenny. 今天我们要看的是第3单元。好，我们要来看一个文学作品《哈克历险记》Adventures of Huckleberry Finn 这本书，大家也许如果跟《汤姆历险记》比较起来是比较不熟悉的，但是大家一定都知道这个作者是 Mark Twain。所以呢，我们先来看看这个故事的内容，然后呢，后面再来谈作者，再来看看这个作品它本身有什么样的意涵，它的主旨是什么。好，我们看一下这个故事的内容。这个故事呢，主角当然是 Huckleberry Finn。这个孩子其实他有一个 nickname 叫做 Huck。好，他其实才10几岁，然后呢，当然他的身世其实也蛮可怜的。不过我们大家都知道他的好朋友 Tom Sawyer。好，我们来看，那这个故事的一开始呢，就说到了 Huck 他的身世，他事实上是被父亲给弃养的。在他被父亲弃养之后呢，他事实上被一位寡妇收养了。好，那我们知道，当然这在提到说这一对。这个寡妇跟她的姐妹两个人希望改变 Huck， 所以说他们尽其所能的想要 civilize the rough, coarse Huck。 我们看这个字 civilize， 基本上我们知道 C-I-V-I-L civil， 当然它可以是指是公民的是有文化的。那 civilize 就是当作动词，表示让一个人教化，让他变得有文化。好，我们当然也知道它的名词 civilization， 如果你把它变成 I-Z-A-T-I-O-N， 这代表文明。好，那换句话说，这一对姐妹其实是想要让 Huck 变成一个有教养的人。可是呢，下一段就提到了他的父亲事实上是一个酗酒的又粗暴的一个男人，但是他回来跟 Huck 要钱，所以 Huck 没有办法，只好逃掉了。他装死 fakes his own death， 然后就逃跑了。逃到哪里去呢？这是一个 uninhabited island。 我们先看到这个字 uninhabited， 我们知道 un 这个字首当然就是一个否定的字首， inhabit 这个本身是动词，代表居住。不过我们也知道 inhabit 其实反而比较常用在被动，变成 inhabited。 当你说一个地方是 uninhabited， 就是表示无人居住的这个岛叫做无人岛。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, let's continue with our lesson. It's all about Huck Finn, or Huckleberry Finn. He's supposed to be adopted by the widow Douglas and her sister. They want to treat him, or they want to teach him some manners and make him go to school and church. But his father comes back for some money. His father's an alcoholic. Hey, Huck, where's the money? So Huck fakes his own death and ends up on an uninhabited island. Well, there, on that uninhabited island, he finds Jim, Miss Watson's escaped black slave. Back then, I think most slaves were black anyway, but slave, of course, is somebody who's owned by somebody who is forced to work, and they probably don't have any freedom at all, and they're probably whipped and stuff like that, treated poorly.
Yeah.
So he's escaped, though. He doesn't want to be a slave. He's trying to get away, and that's what a slave is. And Jim ran away because Miss Watson planned to sell him, which would have separated him from his wife and children. So Jim was living with Miss Watson as her slave, but she wants to sell him. His wife and children are also there, but if she sells him, then he won't be together with his family. Yeah, if I were him, I would run away too.
Me too. So, yeah, he runs away and he finds this guy Jim. So we're going to talk about how Jim is very important in the plot, the story, because they use Jim, or Mark Twain uses Jim, to give us his opinions, and we're supposed to understand how he feels about freedom and slavery from Jim's story, his own experiences. So Jim actually was planning to run away from Miss Watson, which is a good thing, actually. And it would have separated him from his wife and children. Sadly, a lot of those slaves' families, the husband and the wife, would be separated. Their children might be taken off and sold to another, slave owner. Very sad stuff. So unfortunately, everyone now assumes that Jim murdered Huckleberry Finn, which is not true. If you assume something, you think it's true, although you don't really have any evidence. I could say to Tom, hey, Tom, I don't know really how you got here today, but I assumed you rode your bike because the weather's nice. But, Tom might say, well, you assumed wrong. I rode my motorcycle today, or I took the bus in.
You never know. Yeah.
You never know. Don't assume. You can make a good guess. We'd call it an educated guess. But if you assume something, you don't really have all the facts to make a really, factual statement.
Yep. Of course, a lot of people see me here in Taiwan as a white male, so they probably just assume, hey, he probably speaks English and probably doesn't speak Chinese.
And sometimes Tom actually kids with these people. He jokes with them and speaks Spanish to them when they ask about English.
Or I try to fake a Russian accent. Excuse me, I do not speak the English, or whatever, so they'll be forced to speak to me in Chinese. Well, that's another subject, but in any case here, yes, everyone thinks that Jim must have murdered Huck. Jim's missing. Huck faked his own death. They don't know he faked it, but they think he's dead, so they think, hey, it must be that really bad slave guy who killed Huck. So now Huck and Jim are together. Huck and Jim float on a raft down the Mississippi River to Cairo, Illinois. That's a town in the state of Illinois that's at the very southern part of Illinois, way down in Cairo. I think there's a song like that. But in any case here, a raft is a kind of boat that's flat and it doesn't really have any sides. If you saw the movie Cast Away starring Tom Hanks, he escaped from that island on a raft. It was a boat that was just made with boards tied together.
Yeah, it's flat and it sits on the surface of the water. So that's a river boat. So he wants to go to one of the free states back then before the Civil War. Most of the northern states didn't have slaves. And actually, there weren't a lot of plantation owners in the South that had slaves. Not all of them. We fought a war for very few people who wanted to hold on to slavery, which is kind of sad. So many people died. So he can earn money to buy his family's freedom. So that would be great. Jim wants his wife and his kids back, which you can obviously understand. Throughout their journey, We use journey when it's pretty exciting or it's an adventure. Otherwise, I would just say trip. I never say, oh, Tom, I'm on vacation next week. I'm going on a journey to southern Taiwan. No, just say trip. But this has a lot of adventures. It's probably a longer trip that they're taking if you call it a journey. He has a moral crisis. When you talk about things that are moral, it's things that are right and wrong, not based on the law. You might not be arrested for something that's immoral, like having an affair with someone who's married. That's immoral. So he has a moral crisis, meaning there's something inside him that says, wait, is this the right thing to do or the wrong thing? A crisis is when you're in some sort of emergency where things are chaotic and you don't know what you should be doing and you've got to think quickly and make decisions. We have sometimes we have crisis situations when maybe someone's kidnapped, and you have to decide if you're going to pay the ransom or not. Well, he has a moral crisis. Is it the right thing to assist this Jim, even though he escaped? And legally, he belongs to Miss Watson and the widow Douglas. So he thinks about it. I liked Huck Finn because he did the right thing morally, but maybe not legally.
Right. So, yeah, he knows that slavery is legal then, and Jim does belong to Miss Watson. So, gee, should I send him back there?
No.
Or should I help him escape?
Yes.
Slavery is wrong or something. So that's why he has this moral crisis. Now, along the way, Jim and Huck encounter many obstacles, including being separated and witnessing a long-standing dispute between two families. So this is where the reading is fun. Following along with their adventures as they go down the river, they encounter or come across lots of adventures or lots of obstacles. And in this case, an obstacle, of course, is something that gets in your way. It stops you, it impedes you, so you have to overcome that obstacle. You might encounter obstacles in life, for example, if you want to go to university but you don't have enough money. Hey, that's a big obstacle. What are you going to do? Are you going to work and save money or get a loan or something? Yes, indeed, that would be a big obstacle.
So he encountered all of these obstacles. He ran into them. And one of those obstacles was being separated. And they're witnessing a long-standing dispute between two families. Long-standing means it's been going on forever. We don't say short-standing. Sometimes we do the opposite, not here. Long-standing just means it's been going on. A dispute is an argument, some sort of disagreement. They also get involved with two criminals. These are bad guys. They've done things that are bad. They've probably, been in jail before, who try to cheat a family out of its inheritance. When someone passes away and they've had money or possessions that are valuable, they leave those behind, of course, and that's considered the family that's left behind. That's their inheritance. Later, it's revealed or shown that Miss Watson has died and freed Jim in her will. Before you die, you should write out and tell the government, when I go, I want all my possessions to go to my children. Things like that. That's your will. It's a noun. And Huck's father's also dead. Yay, because he was a bad, bad dad. Jim is now free to reunite with his family. If you reunite, you were separated, and now you come back together. And Huck leaves to continue his adventures out west. So right now, they're kind of in the middle of the country, right? The Mississippi River seems to me to be almost center of the U.S. So they're going to go out west and see if they can be successful out there.
Well, at least Huck is going there. Jim's going to stay behind and reunite with his family. Slavery will end after the 1860s or so, when 63 or 65, when the Civil War ended. Although the problems for black people certainly didn't end there. But in any case here, Huck's going to head out west and have some more adventures. And I suppose that Widow Douglas and Miss Watson are gonna miss him, but
no, Miss Watson's dead.
Oh, Miss Watson, wouldn't miss somebody who's alive. A dead person can't miss someone who's alive. But in any case, they think he's dead anyway. But basically, that's the summary of Huckleberry Finn, or The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. And tomorrow we'll talk about the author Mark Twain. But before we say goodbye today, we need to hear once again from our Chinese teacher.
好，我们继续来看 Huck， 当然他的身世其实蛮可怜的。不过有一点，当 Huck 他逃离了家之后呢，他遇到了谁？他遇到了 Jim。在无人岛这个地方，原来 Jim 他是 Miss Watson， 也就是收养 Huck 这一个姐妹，她呢，他的黑奴，而 Jim 他后来呢，在这个地方为什么他要逃离？主要理由是因为他知道 Miss Watson 想要把他卖掉，可是，一旦他被卖了之后，他就变成要跟他的小孩、跟他的太太分开来，所以他当然不愿意。为了不要被分开，所以他就选择先逃跑。不过有一点，在下面这个句子里头，我们先注意到逗点后面的 which。其实逗点后面的 which， 它当然是一个非限定用法的关系代名词，但是我们常常看到逗点 which 这个代替的是前面的整句话。像这个地方的非限定用法，就是表示前面所说的 Miss Watson's plan to sell him 这件事，就会让他被迫跟他的妻子还有小孩分离。好，再来。接下来就提到他们两位呢相遇之后，接下来又发生了一连串的事情，当然其实还蛮错综复杂的。最后这边说到了最后这一段里头，谈到Jim 跟 Huck 他们两个人遭遇了种种的阻难，然后呢中间也目睹了不同的事情。其中一个他就说他们两个还碰到两位罪犯，这两个罪犯想做什么呢？想要骗走别人的遗产。好，这里有一个片语cheat a family out of its inheritance。 我们知道 inheritance 代表遗产，当你 cheat somebody out of something 就是想办法从这个人身上骗走什么。 OK， 我们今天讲解就到这边结束，我们下一次见。
Okay, that brings us to the end of our program for today. Please join us again next time for another edition of our program. We look forward to seeing you then. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Bye.
Bye.